Have another beer, buddy.
Chatty chat chat chat. I think that they probably said that being shorter is advantageous.
Well, they need to teach me then. There you go. So we had to poke a little fun at him. Call you Ginger Swag.
Yeah. If you weren't bowlers, what would you have liked to have done instead? Anything else. Literally anything else.
That's a great answer.
The horse is so dead that it's on some kid's school project in a landfill already.
And there you have it. No. We'll talk him into it.
Terrible idea.
What's up?
What's up?
Oh, just trying to wake up.
How? Not wake up.
Yeah.
It's been one of those days.
No, just you can kick my butt.
Yeah.
There was another day spent outside yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Because I guess you guys were at the camper all weekend.
Yeah, all weekend, and then we went to her parents' house for Alexis's birthday party last night. So
Yeah, that's right.
I'm 3 days of being outside. I'm done. You can probably hear it in my voice.
Yeah.
I actually just woke up from a nap to start this. So. What's the Stormtrooper's favorite store? The one next to the Target. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. That is a good one.
But disc.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while since we've seen everybody. Luke just got back from the Ozarks here last week on a normal night show, so that's why we missed last week. So,
what are you doing, Buck? Yeah.
So the show goes on tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Have another beer, buddy. Chatty chat. Yeah, let people cycle in here since we're just getting fired up. I was starting to worry. I was sitting there behind the show, and I'm like, it's 6:01. Is he asleep?
Yeah.
What I should still be doing. Biggest problem in bowling? Bowlers. It cannot be fixed. Yeah.
Yeah. That's among the things that we're going to talk about tonight, and it's going to be very unfiltered from my end because I've had a lot of arguments and conversations and whatever on Facebook, and I'm actually just not even posting on Facebook anymore because it's just a cesspool. And
yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm just not interested.
Yeah, this one's on. I like this one.
Yeah.
And it's got the breakdownpair logo on the sleeve to go with it. So as I'm getting a little fatter, they're starting to get a little snugger. So it's time to start to hit in the gym again and start losing a little bit of weight.
I'm going to get on I got a little bit of a dad bod starting myself. I try to suck it in, but I'm going to have to go on the wagon here.
There's no sucking it in for me. No, it's not that bad. You can just, where you really notice it with me is in my face. I always balloon up in my face first. But I'm excited to be able to fit in some other stuff again.
Yeah, I think I just feel bad more than anything.
Yeah.
So
those that don't know, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say I got tired a whole lot quicker on the golf course the other day than usual.
Oh, yeah. We actually got to get out of the bowling center this weekend and do a little bit of golfing. We golfed Friday night, and we golfed in a tournament Saturday morning, and we got second place, first flight. So look at us go. Yeah,
we've got that really figured out there. That nice little spot where we always end up. We always end up first, second, or third, so we always cash in that next flight. So
everybody was able to find a shot somewhere every hole that allows us at least save par. Like we didn't bogey one, which if we could have found some birdies out there, it could have been 8, 9 under, I think, easily. But but we'll take it. We'll move on, and we'll get back to bowling here. So
yeah, we just had a couple of holes. It was really funny because I think last year our problem was getting off the tee.
Yeah.
Like there were several times we didn't have a tee shot to work with.
Yeah.
And we had more tee shots to work with this time, but our second shots were the worst ones that we had the entire weekend. It was always the second shot that we were scrambling back. It's like, okay, we get a good drive, something to work with, and then we muck up the approach shot, and then it's scrambling to get up and down from there.
Yep. It was Luke, myself, my stepdad, and Trevor Bumgarner.
Yeah, we had a couple 10 to 15 foot putts to save par too. So
it's some big putt.
There was a couple times we didn't have gimmies, and somebody made a shot.
That's right. That's what we do. I know that tonight's topic's going to be a hot one. Everybody's going to have an opinion on something, and I know you're probably going to put a hot take in here somewhere. I'm waiting for it.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of pissed, so I'm just gonna.
Uh-oh. The gloves are coming off?
Yeah. I don't even really care anymore.
As Raylan would say, Luke is ready to throw hands.
Yeah, it's just I'm irritated, and it's beyond just getting frustrated and wanting to rant so that people can listen to me be self-righteous or whatever. It's a little past that. It's a deep set frustration where people just will not listen. You can't have a debate with people anymore.
No.
It just and that's all I want to do is like talk, just actually talk about problems and solve problems. But people are so willfully ignorant that it's just driving me off a cliff. And so I want to solve things. I don't necessarily want to hurt feelings because that's not productive. I just want something productive. And it frustrates me when people aren't productive. But I think we're past the point where it's just like, I know it's not going to be productive, so I'm just going to say what I'm going to say. And if people want to get a hard on about it, that's on them. I'm just sick of trying to talk to idiots.
As we start out, because you've got to have a drink here if you're going to talk about this. So what are we drinking on there?
Yeah, through the. This is one of those that Angel brought. She found dry dock.
Yeah,
we gave you a couple.
Yep.
This is the blood orange blonde, and so it was kind of like a fruit pack. There's a sour in there. There's an apricot blonde, and then there's something else. And so this is one of those that's nice because it's not overly fruity. It just kind of lightens it up a little bit. It's almost like these are almost like the Leinenkugel summer shandies or something like that.
Oh, that's a solid.
Overly fruity or overly sweet. It's just a nice citrus to kind of take the edge off It's kind of a refreshing summer beer.
That Cashmere New Belgium beer that you guys brought was phenomenal. I thought I had one more in there, and I was disappointed I don't. But I started off with something easy. I think it's just Jack. I think is what it is. So I just wanted something to sip on. I'm still trying to wake up from my nap.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have made this show tonight. There's no way if I wouldn't have taken a little power nap.
Yeah.
And that because I knew you were getting ready to come out swinging tonight. So let's have at it.
Yeah, I think there's already been some good comments in the comment section, and everybody wants to point to simple things that's the problem with bowling, and there's a lot deeper things that are a lot deeper, a lot simpler, and the fixes are a lot simpler. It's nothing that's going to happen because some of the fixes cause problems everywhere else or in other ways. But yeah, I mean, it boils down to the bowlers, and trying to dance around bowlers is why we're in this situation to begin with. Let me go back and look at some of the.
Oh, you pulling up some of the debates you've had online?
Say what?
Are you pulling up some of the debates and stuff you've had online?
No, some of the comments have already. This is one of the. I think it's hard to see the skill gap between bowlers. That's definitely an issue because you can tell with every other sport, baseball, basketball, golf, whatever else, you can tell that the pros are significantly better than everybody else. Because even when we're, Lake Shawnee is not an easy course, but it's not the U.S. Open. And when we would still go out there and shoot, bogey to double bogey golf, even on a par 3 course, something fairly easy, golf is still a tough enough game that you've got to be really good to be a scratch golfer. That's not really true in bowling.
No, yeah, it's not. You're right. And that's the other thing too, is you can also see a lot of those amateur players too. They'll just use like a James and a Trevor and a Dylan. Dylan doesn't have his card anymore, but guys that aren't bowling on the tour stuff. But you can still see that their skill gap though is pro level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Outside of your players, no, you really can't.
Because you have a lot of people that have no clue what they're doing, but can average 230 because they can rev it up and throw it hard.
Yep.
And revs and speed. It's bowling is one of those games that's kind of like football or basketball. The bigger and stronger you are, the more revs, the harder you can throw it. It's just the nature of the game. It's just the nature of a game that deals with physics.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, accuracy is only going to get you so far in those games. It's not quite like cornhole or pool or darts or something like that, where, or even, basketball with shooting a free throw. There is a little bit of difference there. Normally the bigger, stronger guys like Shaq was notoriously terrible shooting free throws because it looked like he was holding a little, a mini basketball. And it's just like free throws kind of rely on touch, but he was, kind of a force down low. But bowling is one of those games that just naturally speed and power is going to help. Now, golf has been changed a little bit with the guys that can hit the big long drives, but they still have to be able to get up and down. Just because they can hit a 350-yard drive doesn't mean that they can do the little things that they need to do. Happy Gilmore taught us that, man.
Absolutely.
Tap it in.
We got a second one coming too. I'm pumped about that. So
yeah,
you said Happy Gilmore, so I had to at least say that.
Yep.
But yeah, actually, something Tobias just said: sport shots showcase the skill we got for bowlers. Yeah, it does. That's fair.
Yeah, that was a Shaq shot.
Just could be anything tougher. It doesn't even have to be full sport, in my opinion. Sometimes guys, some people just can't bowl on a house shot or outside of a house shot. Outside of a house shot, you can't hit anything. Well, the ball doesn't hook. It doesn't. Well, it's because you don't have a puddle in the middle and free hook to the right.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Huh?
They behaving?
Yeah, they're doing.
Okay.
They're fine. Second biggest problem in bowling is people in charge of bowling don't love bowling, and I think that's the next thing, is because a lot of people that rise to the higher level of the sports or the higher level of the sport don't bowl anymore, or if they bowl, it's very, very few and far between. There's very few people you have like an Alex Hoskins or a Steve Klomka that still compete regularly. They kind of get into the industry or the business side of it and kind of fall off, or they just bowl a league here and there, or some people get into the industry side and they just don't bowl anymore. And so they get completely out of touch. They start getting in, they start getting the business and the corporate stuff into their head, and that's the direction they start leaning, and they forget why they even got into the industry in the first place. And so
they kill it though.
Say what?
It's working in the industry in general can just really kill that vibe, though, I think.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, because you're dealing with, I think anytime you take something that you got into as a hobby and you make a job out of it, that sucks a lot of the life out of it for people, unless you have a love for that side of things. Like, there's a lot of tournament directors that, they like bowling tournaments. They're not really that great, but they really like putting on tournaments. And so that's kind of their thing. And there's some people that just like the industry side of it, and they like being a proprietor, or, being able to serve people that way, and make sure that they have a good experience.
Yep. There's still good ones out there. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of bad ones out there.
All right. We've been catering to the bottom part of bowling. If we focus on growing the top, then people will bowl regardless, but there shouldn't be handicap bowlers making more than pros. This is another thing, too, that somebody made a point to me on. I think I actually had a good conversation with 220 Average Bowler the other day, believe it or not, on one of his videos, because he took a little bit of a shot at me in his latest string pin video. It took a comment that I made out of context and used that as kind of the exclamation point on his video. And so I got on there and then threw a few comments at him, but it ended up turning into a nice conversation because I didn't really understand where he was coming from. He didn't really understand where I was coming from. And then we had a really productive conversation. And one of the points that he made, it's like, well, if the very top level of the sport is such a joke, what's going to make anybody want to get into it or pursue it seriously? Or even if you don't end up being a pro, bowling is one of those things that you don't really have to be that good to go to tournaments and stuff. And I know that there's tournaments for all kinds of everything else at all kinds of levels, but but at the same time, if the top of there's nobody that's going to even want to get to any level to begin with if there's not a reason beyond just succeeding at something. And there's not a whole lot of people that are just going to continue to dump money, all kinds of money, into a hobby just to not really get anything back out of it. I mean, it's part of the success of doing something, or the fun of doing something, is having success doing that thing. And if the upper levels of the sport are such a joke, it doesn't really entice anybody to get into it in the first place. I mean, because there's a lot of people that have seen, okay, well, you know, they just see the top levels of golf, for example, and that's gotten into it. It's like, well, holy shit, if I turn into a good golfer, then I can make a bunch of money doing this, or I can do this or that. And it's not really that way in bowling. Outside of the top 10, maybe nobody's making that great of money doing it.
I don't know. Just on the golf side of things, you can compare it all day, because there's a lot of good comparisons between the two. But I don't know. There's something about golf, when the way that people see the golfers, they just make it look so much easier. I don't know. Maybe that's just like, look at a Scotty Scheffler. I mean,
oh yeah,
dude just makes it look so easy, and then I want to be like Scotty. So I don't know. Everybody knows that golfers make way more money, too. I mean, they make way more money. Women's tour, men's tour, and everybody knows there's no money in bowling, but people still would like to bowl and be in the PBA and things like that. I wish they would. Another thing, I wish they would make bowling in the PBA harder than what it, like, as in like the requirements. So.
Yeah, no, that's the other thing, is that making it easy kind of entices people to try it out more, but then they get out there pretty quickly and find out that they're not good enough. But then there's a lot of people that just have this opinion. It's like, well, you know, if I got a contract and free balls and a couple ball reps, that's the only reason, that's the only thing that separates me from these guys. And it's like, yeah, well, right. It's not. But that kind of goes back to the last point of that, you know, somebody can average 230 in league and then watch a show on TV where everybody's shooting the same scores that they shoot on a regular league night. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, again, it just comes down to if I had all kinds of balls and tour reps and whatever else, I could be on tour too. I shoot the same games as these guys. And they just don't understand. They don't understand what the difference is. And there's nothing to really teach them that outside of, okay, fine, here is, and I think Sean Rash has actually put that to people before. He said, okay, well, you know, one of you, I'll set you up with an arsenal. I'll set you up with this, that, or the other. You come out here and bowl a tournament, and we'll just see what's what. I don't think anybody took him up on it.
I mean, you could also say too, like, just to piggyback off your analogy with the tour reps and everything. So just because I go get a Tiger Woods' caddy tomorrow, is that going to mean I'm going to play like Tiger Woods?
Yeah,
definitely not.
But the difference is that I can go, even on an easy course, I could go out and be a bogey golfer. And I'm just not, even on you can put me on the easiest course out there, and I'm just not going to come close to putting up scores like the guys do on courses that are significantly tougher. And it's kind of measurable in bowling, but because you can't physically see it yourself, you don't understand. You just see somebody throwing a ball, and you know, you don't realize there's a lot of people that think that they're a whole lot more accurate than they are too. I don't know how much it frustrates me to listen to college bowlers sometime where they'll throw a shot, they'll miss it 3 left. It'll hook too much. Oh, that ball overhooked. I need to make a 2-1 left. And it's like, no, you need to make a good shot.
Yeah.
You know, if you, and there's, well, I only missed that a board inside. It's like, no, you almost missed that an arrow inside. What are you looking at or talking about? Like, they can't even see what's going on, so they have no actual frame of reference. You know, and you can see Specto, a 2-board miss on TV looks like a whole lot more than it does when you're bowling league in real life. And because people have so much area to aim at in bowling, they get on a tougher pattern, they get squeezed a little bit, and it's like, oh, well, that was a great shot. I don't know why that didn't hook, or I didn't know why that overhooked, or whatever else. The sooner the purists get this, the faster that we can move forward. And yeah, that's the thing, is I think bowling needs a total reset. like right now, because all that's going to happen is it's going to just trickle and dwindle and continue to get worse and worse, because we need some of these idiots to just get out of the sport. Like, bring on all the string pins, bring on all the everything else out, which, number one, gets rid of a lot of these idiots that think that they're saving bowling but are just killing it as fast as, I mean, the way that bowling has gone, it's just, I can't even conceive of a way to kill something faster than what bowling is being unintentionally, how fast bowling unintentionally being killed. I just don't understand how you put all these things together and can't see what's going on. But I think that a lot of these purists just need to get out of here. And if we make bowling such a clown show, then it's also going to reinforce, it's like, oh, okay, well, this is why we need to just hit the reset button and get all the way back to basics.
Yeah.
Because I think that one of the big things is that, and inflation is one of those things that affects everything. But bowling has been so artificially inflated as far as expenses go. Prize funds and handicap leagues make no, if you want to do it in your scratch leagues, or if you have extra money, added money for big tough leagues or something. But there are people in mixed leagues paying $20 or $25 a night, and like 10 of that's going to the prize fund, and they're bitching about how expensive bowling is. The other thing is the USBC membership. Every time I bring that up and said, okay, what's USBC supposed to do with $15 a year? And the people will be like, oh, I pay $25 or $30 a year. Where are you paying $15? And I'm like, no, USBC only gets $15 of that. Your local association gets the rest. So if you're paying $30, USBC is getting $15, but out of that. But so is your local association. So if you're mad at USBC, why are you not also mad at your local association? Well, it turns out a lot of people don't know that. They think that they're paying $30. That all goes to USBC. And so what's USBC doing with my $30?
How can they not know they have a local association and it's attached to your name? Like, it's when you go to look yourself up on bowl.com, it's tied to you.
Because bowlers are stupid. They don't know that the local association, a lot of people don't even know that a local association's a thing. And number two, they don't know that any money actually goes to the local association. It's just the same as it's impossible to talk to people about the difference between lineage and league dues, which are two different things. You might be paying $25 a night for league, but you're not paying that to the center. You're paying 10 to 15, depending on where you live. I think most places are probably between like $12 and $18 a week for lineage, which is actually what you pay to bowl. And then you have whatever extra money goes into the prize fund. The vast majority of the time, people also set very, very flat prize funds. And that prize fund most of the time is not returned 100% because you have secretary fees coming out, you have other administrative fees, or this, that, or the other. So what goes into the pot isn't what comes out of the pot. And the vast majority of the time, if you look at what you put in versus what you get back, it's going to be a plus minus like 30 or 40 bucks most of the time.
Yeah.
And so even if you do, with like, there was on Friday nights, there was one year where Angel and I bowled with Kenny Altman and Andrew Bennett, and we just ran over the league. We just completely ran over the league. Yeah, the Friday night mixed league with Westridge, long time ago.
Yeah, okay.
And we just absolutely obliterated the league, ran over it. At first, high handicap, high whatever there was to win, we won it. And the prize fund was $4 or $5. It was 35 weeks, so let's just call it $4 for the sake of argument. 35 weeks, 4 times 35 is 35, 70, 140. We each got back $190. And so it's like, oh, okay, so we each made $50. But that was on the year. Over 9 solid months, we're paying into a prize fund to get an extra $50 back at the end of the year. And some people are, well, that's great. That's a profit. Over 9 months, when you're bowling league every week and paying for drinks and paying for gas and paying for equipment and getting everything out there, you can make $50. What about the people that lost $50? There are more people in those leagues that will lose money over 9 months than that will gain it. And even when you do get $120 back in your league envelope, you blow it at the bar after bowling.
Yep.
So it's been made artificially expensive that way. If you would just pay for lineage and bowl, then you could bowl an extra league a week, or it wouldn't cost you near as much to bowl. People, I can't pay $25 a week to bowl. Well, then get rid of the prize fund and bowl for $15 a week.
Yeah.
That would make a whole lot more sense. But I suggested that to the board like 10 years ago, because they're talking about membership stuff and things are declining, and how do we get this thing in check? And I said, well, I had an idea. It would be significantly cheaper, especially because you get into most of these payouts and it's like $100, $120, $130. It's like, okay, well, and I put in basically that much or almost that much, or I made like $10 on the year. Yay! Oh my god! And so I put it to the board. I'm like, if a lot of these leagues that are not the scratch leagues or not the draft league in Lawrence or not competitive leagues, they don't need to be putting the extra $5 or $10 a week into a prize fund. Just get rid of the prize fund. Just let them bowl, because that's what they're there to bowl for anyway. They're just bowling for fun. You don't sign up a team full of 160 or 170 averages to compete in a handicap mixed league. And we have a lot of fun in handicap mixed leagues. Don't get me wrong. I'm not dogging the leagues. I'm just saying you're not there to make money at that point. And you're not really making money if you're putting $4 or $5 a week into a prize fund.
But I can see where people I'll just use our area, for example, and then call back. I can just see why they say, "Oh, I'm not getting any kind of money back." That revolt.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. So I suggested it to the board, and this is after the boards merged, and Paul Baumgartner was on it, and we got some of the younger crowd on, and they thought it was a good idea to at least suggest it. The very first league meeting that we went to suggest it, they were already butthurt about lineage going up 25 cents that year. And that's another thing, is I've seen people, I've showed up to, like, you remember Premier Carpet League at Gage on Thursday nights. There was more than one person that showed up to league at the beginning of the year, found out the lineage was going up 25 cents and packed their shit up and left and never bowled again, because lineage went up 25 cents. And 25 cents. So the very first league, it was a league on Wednesday night or something at Westridge, and we suggested it to the league. And the first thing that somebody said is like, okay, so you're raising lineage on us, but now you want to take our money away too. They thought that the prize fund was just something that the bowling alley paid back out to people. They had no idea that a portion of their dues every week were going into a prize fund that was being paid back out after taking $600 out for secretary fee and $25 out for printing stuff out and envelopes and stationery, whatever, all this kind of other stuff. They had no idea. So they thought that they were being charged more in lineage and that the bowling alley was trying to take money away from them. And so 4 teams quit the league on the spot, no matter what we said. It was just like, no, we're just suggesting that you pay in less. And we're suggesting that you pay in less because there's no reason for you to pay into a prize fund. It's just the drinking, smoking, keno playing, scratch ticket playing people that spend $50 a week couldn't afford an extra 25 cents, but then we were going to take their money too, that they ended up, like I said, blowing in the bar after the week of league. Everybody just wanted to get their $100 back in the envelope at the end of the year.
I told you the story over the weekend about the moving it to 25 on Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
And I suggested it the year before, and they raised lineage 50 cents, and then they went from $23 to 25 after 1 year. God forbid, I suggested going up $3 to 25 to make it an even number to pay the year after we do it. And then it was like, oh, I don't know why we didn't do this in the first place, because it's still a top tier league in our area, so they're still paying. It's going to your prize fund. Like, the more you raise on this side of things, it's going to your prize fund. Like, just because the cent.
Yeah, no. When we had this 10 years ago, and as soon as that happened, Jerry shut us down, and I don't blame him at all. I would have done the same thing, because it's like, okay, well, you guys put this idea to the very first league, and we lose 4 teams. We can't have that happen. So,
no, I get it.
He was like, I get it, but no, you guys got to stop. And so
we got Steve Peoples in here tonight.
Yeah.
Haven't seen that guy in a while.
Yeah. So the sooner the purists get over this, the faster we can move forward. Yeah. So that's just, there's a lot of things that purists need to just get over. And this is another thing that 220 said to me. It's like he's got kind of a little bit of a fascination for the different things you can do with equipment and rev rates and speeds and whatever to get the pins down. And so he's kind of on my wavelength with that, as far as all the different, he likes how creative you can be, and revs and speed are part of that. And just because you throw it hard and rev it up doesn't mean that you can actually carry. I see a lot of people just rev it up and throw it hard, and they don't really get a whole lot done.
Right. The fact that you guys had a civil conversation with him, I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I'm proud of me and him, because we ended up having a really productive conversation. He made a lot of good points, and it was over the string pin thing, but he made a lot of good points. And I'm like, okay, so you're not just the drilling a ball in a tree guy. You actually have a point. So, and there is still a skill to, just because you can hit the pocket on a house shot doesn't mean it's like, okay, so the shot's wide open, but that doesn't mean you get the pins down. And, there's all kinds of different ways that you can get at things sometimes.
Absolutely.
So this is one of the things, is that, and the other thing is that league bowling or competitive bowling just isn't profitable to centers anymore. It's just, they have to have money coming from somewhere, because competitive bowling has not kept up with inflation the same way that everything else has. Because if you think about it, we're paying like $12, $13 a night for lineage at Royal Crest. That's $12 or $13 for 3 solid hours of bowling. Granted, we're only bowling 3 games, but we're taking up a spot on a lane for 3 solid hours, and they're getting $13 out of that. And people go, oh, well, yeah, but league bowlers, they drink and they'll eat food too. And it's like, okay, but so will open play bowlers, and you need significantly fewer open play bowlers to equal the amount of money that you're going to get out of league play bowlers. Yeah. Because Jared Raymond ran a center for a little while, and he put a stat out there. He said that when he was running the center, an open play bowler was worth about $160 per hour per lane. League bowlers were worth about, yep, that's the one I'm just about done with. So
yep, bringing it right now. Sorry.
But he said the league bowlers were worth about $150 per bowler per lane over 3 hours. Per bowler per lane for 3 hours plus.
Okay.
So open play bowlers are worth about 3 to 3.5 times. Generally speaking, it's not this way in all areas, and you're not going to be inundated with open play bowlers everywhere. There's some places where it's going to be more in your best interest to have butts in the seats or people in the bowling alley more regularly. If you're not in a very populated area, naturally you want regularity. And so the league play bowler is important to a certain extent in any center anywhere. But the thing is that in the higher populated areas, they have so many people. Open play has really picked up all across the country, and centers wouldn't be closing all over the place, and Bolero wouldn't be buying up the world and making money if league play made centers money. That's just one of those things that you can't get around. And people will say, well, I just can't imagine having some open play bowlers in there. It'd be more important than filling a center with league play 24/7. It's like, okay, well, sure, they could. If a center is like Royal, if they didn't have any league play, or if they didn't have any open play, they'd fill the center with league bowlers every night of the week. And so they could probably keep the doors open. Mm-hmm. But their open play makes money hand over fist more than league. Okay. It's just the open play allows them to be able to offer the league play.
You're seeing the model of a lot more pay by the hour too, which I think they do that. You could tell me I'm totally wrong, because I really am just a guess, but I see them doing that model more, because if I go in and pay for 2 games, I can be done with 2 games in 30 minutes. But if I pay by the hour, I'm going to be more enticed to go get food from the snack bar, or go get more beer, or that's been a big thing. That if you remember right back in the day, paying by the hour wasn't the thing. You paid per game, and that's how you played.
Mm-hmm.
So, which if I go practice, I want to pay by the hour, but I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just my thinking on it. It is definitely one of the biggest debates you can have is, and it's also one of those most that people don't really understand, that open play really does make you more money than a league bowling.
Yeah,
I mean, we drink a lot on Thursday nights. Our league drinks a lot on Tuesday nights.
Yeah, but so do open play bowlers.
Mm-hmm.
And that figure also included concessions, bar and snack bar. And league bowlers are more likely to budget because they're there every week, sometimes 2-3 times a week. And so they're like, okay, well, I can't just spend $40 a night at the bar. If I'm in there 3 nights a week, I've got to make sure, okay, I'm just going to have 2 beers and that's it. Or I'm going to eat on this night. And this is a tropical sour. So getting that one
I
out
don't
of the
have
way.
that. This dry dock is really freaking good.
Yeah. Because, again, it reminds me of one of those summer shandies or something.
Yeah.
It's got enough of that little citrus to be refreshing without being too sweet or, cloying or something.
Yeah, I dig that. That's good stuff. Doing it by the hour entices you to bowl faster, more games, than dragging the game out because you're paying by the game. Yeah. I also like it, though, on the opposite side of things, too. I don't feel like I have to – I've got time. You can look at it and go, I got a whole hour. I got time.
Mm-hmm.
But I just like – I can get more done faster, like you said, yes. But I don't know. Just knowing I have the time behind me instead of paying $8 a game. It also looks cheaper, too. You look at it, too, and people really do the numbers. They go, oh, I can get $16 an hour instead of paying $6 for this game. Oh.
Yeah, but generally speaking, if you can get 10 lanes of open play, that will make you as much money. If you can keep 10 lanes of league play full a lot, most of the time, that equals 30 lanes of league bowlers most of the time in most places, because they'll come in and they'll drop $50 in an hour, where league bowlers it'll take 3 hours to get $50 out of them.
Yep.
Because the league bowlers come in, or the open play bowlers come in, and they'll pay $6-7 for a game, $5-7 for shoe rental. They'll go get a pitcher. They'll go get something to eat at the snack bar, and in 1 hour, that's $40 already. Because they get a $15 burger and fries, then $10-12 for a pitcher, $15 for a pitcher, depending on what they're drinking. Because open play bowlers are in there less often. But when you go somewhere for vacation, or you go somewhere that you don't normally go, or if you go to the movie theater, you're a whole lot more likely to actually spend those. Sure, let's get the popcorn, let's get some candy, let's do this, because we don't do it very often. And there's so many more people that are actually that are actually going out and doing open play. The league bowlers, sure, are in there more often, but open play bowlers are significantly more I lost the word. But they're significantly more lucrative for the center than league play bowlers are.
It's for me, where I live, I go to 7 bowling alleys in 3 counties for fun. One of my will be doing my first starting in August. Okay. Sorry, just kind of reading through it. I'm telling you, I'm tired. So if I misread something tonight, if you can't see it in my face, I'm shocked.
Yeah.
In our area, paying back. You see, that's different.
Yeah, this is
all adds up about the same anyway. But
yeah, this is kind of what I was working into. Is bowlers still think that they should be paying $1 a game? What else can you do? And there's some people that just go to league. They drink water. They don't eat anything there. And so the bowling alley is getting $12 to $15 off of them for 3 solid hours. What else can you do for $12 to $15 for 3 hours? Nothing. How is a bowling center supposed to stay open on that? Because things are, and this was like 10 years ago. But Jesse told me a figure from Westridge. It takes $3,000 a day to break even. So they have to do $3,000 in rent, and this was 10 years ago. So I'm sure that this is $4,000 by now. So let's just call it $3,500. It takes $3,500 a day in revenue to break even before they can even think about, and that's just paying the bills, paying employees, paying whatever else. They're not actually making money. They're just kind of treading water at $3,500 a day, and it's going to be a lot more expensive for a lot of other centers out there. And this is the thing, is that bowling has not kept up with inflation as much, and this is why Boleros are taking over. They're only just think about some of the business models for Boleros. People are complaining that Bolero is okay. Well, now they don't even open till 4 o'clock in the afternoon anymore, and they close at like 9. I've been in a league, and I showed up to league one night, and they said that, okay, lanes this through this aren't bowling tonight because we booked a birthday party. So the leagues need to get out of here, or you're just not bowling tonight. Some Boleros have just kicked out league play altogether. And it's like, okay, so if a house full of league play was what was making centers money, then why is everything in the industry going the opposite direction? A lot of the traditional centers are closing. If places like Carolier and Thunderbolt and North Rock's a little bit of a special circumstance. The DeSocios were getting divorced or whatever, and it was a problem, and they kind of needed to sell it. But that doesn't have anything to do with Carolier and Thunderbolt.
No.
And so if those places, storied league and tournament houses, if they're selling to Bolero, and Bolero they're still doing leagues and some stuff in some places, and it just helps Bolero with the PBA because it makes it significantly cheaper to host the PBA at centers they own. And in PBA, they've said PBA is just cheap advertising for them.
Oh no, their CEO came out and said that.
Mm-hmm.
News the other day, or no, it was the other day. I saw it, but you just said, yeah, it's just cheap advertisement.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so if you can run a successful business, being open 5 hours a day on weekdays and not having any league bowling, what does that tell you? And some people can say, okay, well, traditional centers are closing because, league bowling is going down and you don't have full centers anymore. And so back when league bowling was packing centers, more of them were open, more of them were staying open, and we didn't have this problem. It's like, okay, that's a valid point, because if I think that any center, if you packed them with league bowlers 24/7, the problem is that inflation goes up a whole lot faster than a quarter every other year, which is where the centers in Topeka tried to keep it at. And Rex, when he owned Gage, it was the set thing. We go up a quarter on lineage every other year. That's what he did. But you can't. That's so much slower than everything else. He should have been going up more like 50 cents a year, or almost $1 a year here recently, to be able to compete realistically, or to have leagues be lucrative for centers. You probably should be paying double the lineage. Just start at double whatever lineage is in your area. Just double it, and that will make leagues and tournaments more lucrative to the centers, because the business of bowling shouldn't. Why should the sport of bowling be a thought on the business of bowling's mind at all? Because the business of bowling is about keeping doors open, making money, providing, just entertaining people, getting them bowling however it goes. The sport, or like a professional side of anything, makes whatever centers less money than the entertainment side of it does. Just as a whole. I mean, bowling. Phil Cardinale from Radical is, I don't make bowling balls for pros because pros don't buy bowling balls. The 95 to 98% of the community is what's buying the bowling balls. It's that 2 to 5% that are the tournament bowlers and the professional bowlers that are likely to be on staff or getting some kind of deal somewhere anyway.
I'm sorry, it's the first time you've ever brought up Phil and you didn't use his voice. So
yeah, I didn't have a line prepared for that.
I know. And Roland, I'm sorry, Ronald. I called you Ronald. Roland in here helped me out just a second ago. CEO from Bolero called the PBA Tour an infomercial.
Mm-hmm.
His words on TV.
Yeah, because it's cheap advertising.
Low speed, low rev play. I can't do it. I can't even try.
Low speed, low rev player.
Yeah, I can't do it.
But, yeah, this is the thing is that, and Tobias, this is the other thing that I brought up before. What else can you do for $15 a year? You know, a USBC, and this is a yin yang. I don't want to give USBC any more money because if they can mismanage this little amount of money as badly as they have, I don't want to give them any more money. But on the flip side, it's like if you give somebody $15 a year, what are you going to get done for somebody for $15 a year? You can't even buy a meal at McDonald's for $15 anymore, basically.
No, you can't.
So it's like, I mean, the USBC membership fee should be somewhere in the range of $50. Just there's a lot of annual memberships to stuff that are $50. You know, for this, or actually this software is $50 a month just to run this streaming thing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'd pay the $50 a month if I knew if my money was going to go someplace. I'd pay it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If USBC, they're not going to be able to get anything done for us for $15 a month.
No.
Or $15 a year. I mean, a year. Think about how ridiculous that sounds. I mean, Disney Plus is $7 a month, and I mean,
that a month.
Yeah, that's dirt cheap, and that's still $80-some a year. I mean,
that's the thing. Nobody ever puts that in the back of their mind and thinks about that. Well, I'm paying. Half those people are paying for Disney Plus every month. They're paying for Netflix. They're paying for. Yeah. And you realize I'm just for the year, and then they want to know why we're not getting anything for it.
Yeah.
Why we're not getting this? Why we're not getting that?
Yeah.
$15 a year is not going to go anywhere.
Well, and we put out some surveys for Caw Valley back in the day, and it's like, okay, well, what do you want to see? Because USBC stopped doing awards, and so Caw Valley was like, well, we can do something. We can do some kind of awards. And what do people want? They're wanting like bowling balls or gift cards to the. Oh, get out of there, you rat bastard! It's my beer.
Well, they're doing something for honor scores. I can bring in a sample. It's right around the corner if you want to see it.
Yeah, but people are wanting. Yeah. People are wanting bowling balls, gift certificates to the center, gift certificates to the pro shop. It's like, it would be nice to get a $50 gift certificate. It's like, okay, well, the Caw Valley dues are $10 a year. So you want to pay $10 a year and expect to get a $50 gift card to the pro shop? Like, what are we even thinking about here? Like, people just don't. That's my biggest problem with bowlers. They don't stop to think about the very simplest of things. And the other thing is as far as talking about the money thing, not just saying that stuff should cost more, which it should cost an awful lot more than it does if bowling was keeping up with inflation. But I think equipment's a little out of control. I mean, that cat got let out of the bag a long time ago, and I think it's a yin-yang because I like the meta game of equipment. I like that it's one of those things where you give a craftsman more tools, or you give an artist, a painter, more more kinds of colors and different brushes, and they can do a whole lot more with them. But at the same time, it creates such a problem where you almost have to walk in the center with $1,000 worth of equipment to compete anymore. You can't just buy that one black ball and have it last you for 5 or 6 seasons anymore. So you've got to now you've got a whole lot more money in equipment. Bowling's getting more expensive, and because things are more complicated, you need to spend more time practicing. And because it's not a game of accuracy necessarily anymore, you've got to put more time into figuring out how to get the pins down and how to compete with higher scores. And then when you bowl mixed leagues that are artificially inflated by prize funds and all these other things, it's like if bowling just went back to And that this is another thing too, is that the left to right disparity is a whole lot higher because you put a bunch. So let's say you put a 30 mil sport shot down, you're going to see 180 grit, 500 grit chalk monsters going down the side until they create some friction. The right side is going to get destroyed in a hurry. The left side's never going to open up. And so you've got a whole lot more left to right disparity because there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on the right side of the lane that's just not happening on the left side. And so you have, it's either lefties run over the field or righties run over the field with very little in between. And you're walking in with $1,000 to $1,500 worth of equipment and bowling on this stuff that's, league fees that are overinflated for absolutely no reason. This is all the reason for, you have reactive balls come out, rev rates start going up, oil volumes start going up, and so rev rates get higher, bowling balls get stronger, and it just kind of chases its tail around and around until now they just think that, okay, well, a shitload of oil is difficulty. Well, it is, but it's not. And, sure, bowling's a game of transition, but the transition happens so fast and so significantly that you drown some players out sometimes. And so now that's why you're having all the big rev rates. Everybody's being two-handed because it's a speed and rev dominant game now. I think if you go back to, and there's a caveat here, but if you just go back to the basics and we're bowling with plastic and urethane again, and house shots are 12 to 15 mils instead of 25 mils, then all of a sudden a big rev rate's not a very desirable thing. All of a sudden, well, everything hooks too much. And so all of a sudden you're going to want to use plastic balls. You're going to want to use, shiny hard urethane balls. And you're not going to want to put a whole lot of revs on the bowling ball, or unless you throw it 25 miles an hour. You get rid of the significant expense for the equipment. You get rid of a lot of things that people don't like two-handers. You're just, if you got 12 mils on the lane and you're throwing plastic, you probably really don't want to be two-handed, I wouldn't think. You could probably still make it work because I think more speed and more revs is going to be helpful no matter what. But if bowling wasn't so expensive, we wouldn't have string pins, because string pins are making things cheaper. And, people have asked, it's like, okay, well, if we're going for cost savings, why didn't they do it 50 years ago? Why didn't they even start thinking about string pins? Because the integrity of the game was more important back then, because they had the money to where they didn't have to worry about the money. They were at the point where they could still worry about the integrity of the game and what's best for the game, because it wasn't so damn expensive.
I just don't know. 50 years ago, we just didn't have, we didn't have the technology that we have today for it.
Yeah.
God, 50 years ago, I know you're just using an analogy about it, but
yeah,
take even 15 years ago, trying to put string pins in, the technology would be a joke. So
yeah.
Now it is the perfect time for it now, though, with everything that's out there. But I like I said, I've still yet to bowl on any sanctioned string pins. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of excited to try it. So, another thing too, I don't think we do a good enough job is, I know Storm does a really good job with it, but our youth programs around the country in a lot of areas aren't good either. So, we do need the young kids to come in and still bowl. High school bowling has gotten big. I know it's pretty big around here nowadays. College bowling is blown up because every university seems to have it anymore. But it just seems like every time I've been around a youth program and a youth league, it just seems like there's just not a lot of interest anymore. What do you think the reason for that is?
I think it's just that things are a lot busier than they used to be. Kids kind of have to focus on one thing now because they're so busy with that. With Ray with gymnastics, that takes so much time that you don't really have time for her to do much of anything else aside for bowling a youth league once every Saturday. And sometimes several times you're going to have to miss that in gymnastics season. Because she's going to be at weekend tournaments half the time. Now, the good thing about league bowling, or the youth league bowling, there's no prize fund. So if you're not there, you don't pay. But, because you're taking up spot, and, Saturday morning, there's not open play beating down the door to get into the place on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And so it's a good time to run a league. And if they don't show up, they don't pay, and it's not that big of a deal. But for leagues in prime time later at night, you're signing up for a 9-month commitment. And if you don't show, you got to pay anyway. Steve Peoples put something in here 20, 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, I saw it.
The idea does work if you start that way. The problem is getting people that are used to getting back 100, 120 bucks at the end of the year to transition to that. So if it starts that way, yeah, I could absolutely. And this is the thing: is if they started starting people this way and just started leagues with you just paid for bowling, it's just like a softball league or something over the summer. You don't get anything back for most softball leagues, do you? I don't remember ever getting anything back for a softball league.
Wouldn't it be easier if you can just physically get them to understand that if you're just paying for bowling, and then the other side of it is you're paying for lineage, so you're actually you're funneling more money into it to really not get a darn thing. I'm sorry, I lost my language. A darn thing there. So at that time, $15. It's just I think you've got to get them to figure out the idea of I'm just paying for bowling. Like you said earlier, I think a lot of people really do think that money, they don't look into the numbers when they get the league sheet and everything and realize that prize funds and lineage aren't tied together.
Yeah, they don't understand it at all. Like some people think that a tax return is like bonus money or something. It's like, no, you're just getting your own money back after you've paid it to the IRS. You've paid extra, and they've stashed that somewhere and made all kinds of extra money on it just to give you back some of it. It's like, okay, well, it didn't cost this much for taxes, so here's your money back. You're just giving the government a free loan so that they can do something with that money, because people like getting a couple $1,000 tax return, which it's nice, but there's a whole lot extra. There's a whole lot better ways that you can get an extra couple grand a month or a couple grand a year or whatever than getting it in a tax return. But that's basically what people think, is they're making $120 or $150 on the year in their envelope because they just don't understand how it works. And right. Bowlers are just too stupid. Most of the bowlers are just too stupid to understand that or to get it. Yeah. League, give us $5 a week for 30 weeks and I'll give you 100 back at the end of the year. Oh, league bowler, okay. This was like, not to pick on it, but yes, to pick on him, Tom Roth. He always thought that he was making money playing. He was like, oh, I make all kinds of money playing Keno. But the thing is he's just counting the money he's getting back, not the money that he's paying in. So if he paid $20 and made $10 off of Keno, or got $10 back off of Keno, I made $10 on Keno today. That's
he doesn't math very well.
The bowlers don't math very well.
He has finances.
Yep. Most teams would come out ahead by having no prize fund because only the top couple teams actually earn money with a prize fund. Yes, the vast majority of people that pay into a prize fund do not actually make money. They get money back, but they're not making money. They're just paying extra money every week to get back less money in a lump sum all at the end of the thing.
Right.
So I don't want to. I want to get my $150 back at the end of the year. It's like, okay, well, instead of doing that, get rid of the prize fund in the league. Just put $5 in a jar every week, and you'll have more money at the end of the year. Save it yourself and pay yourself at the end of the year. Make your own prize fund by not putting into something that you're going to get less back from at the end of the year. Doesn't make any sense.
That's actually like a super idea, by the way.
Yeah.
It's just your own little savings account is all it is.
Yeah. So many proprietors put out the easiest shot ever to keep the league bowlers happy when it sounds like they can afford to lose them, especially on a Thursday night or a Friday night. Well, this is the reason that Gage and Westridge are the two remaining bowling alleys in Topeka because of that damn top 10. Because everybody was so concerned with their top 10 average every year, and it was hi Pickles, what are you doing? What are you doing to Pig Dog? And Pickles dog. What are you doing, Piggy? Aspen. You say hi to the peoples? I know.
Pig.
But people would bowl at Gage Center and Westridge because they scored better there. They didn't want to bowl at Meadow. They didn't want to bowl at Southwest. They didn't want to bowl at Gage North because it was tougher there. Or if they did bowl at those other places, they had to at least bowl one league at Gage or Westridge or whatever their preferred center was. But there was a lot of people that only bowled one or two leagues. And so they would bowl one league at Gage, one league at Westridge so that they could kind of, cast an extra line out there for a tournament that was worth nothing.
Literally. And
You
they still
get nothing but a
really
medal or a sheet or something.
they've made it now where you only have to bowl the one, so you don't have to bowl both places anymore.
And see, that's the thing. Yeah, it used to be a composite of two houses. And so they would bowl in the top two scoring centers because everybody was concerned about making top 10. And the higher scoring centers are the only two that are left in town. Meadow wasn't as high scoring. I like bowling at Meadow. Gage North wasn't as high scoring. Southwest definitely wasn't as high scoring. And, at the same time, Westridge was new. Gage Center was one of the nicer centers in town. I thought Meadow was really nice, too. Southwest was kind of a dump, and Gage North was a little bit of dump, but it had a lot of character. But, yeah, so, and if people say, well, you need to make it harder, again, to get the integrity back, but people are going to leave if you make it harder, which is exactly the thing that I was, shut up, Buck. The point that I was building into earlier, say that we did say, okay, well, reactive balls just need to go. Reactive balls need to go. 30 mil patterns need to go. We're just going to go back to 12 mils, and you're going to bowl. It's going to be like Team Masters. We're just going to bowl on shorter, drier patterns, and you're going to use a plastic ball and a very weak urethane ball. People would quit. I mean, that would pretty well kill bowling instant. I guarantee you, if they outlawed reactive balls, competitive bowling would just end right there.
I think it'd be fun, personally.
I think it'd be great. And actually, if we started running tournaments again, I think it'd be really fun to have because we had that one plastic ball tournament that Mikey ran at Gage Center a long time ago. It was right after COVID or something like that.
No, it was the Call Valley.
Yeah, in Call Valley tournament. I remember bowling with Ryan Miller.
They still do it. Well, no, it just ended. Paul and I won the very last one. So I got a W on that one. It ended. So I don't want to hear. I can throw plastic. Dang it! Oh, here it is. I did have one, by the way, Luke.
Yeah.
This stuff is legit.
Mm-hmm. I've got another 20 cans out in the garage. But yeah, that's the thing is that people always bowling needs to get tougher and bring the integrity back. As soon as you bring the integrity back, they'll all quit.
Oh yeah.
If you raise lineage anything more than $1, everybody will quit. And that is just the fundamental problem going all the way back. It's the bowlers. It's not the industry. It's not the bowling balls. It's not two-handers. It's not string pins. It's not Bolero. It's not any of that. It's the idiot bowlers that for some reason so many morons are attracted to bowling. And that's what's killing it. And that's what I said to open the show is that bowling is being so quickly and intentionally killed that there's nothing to do for it but let them finish it off and start all over again brand new and fresh. Because as soon as it dies, and it's like, okay, well, we can do anything now. I think that they should make the change while they still have the user base, but at the same time, if you make conditions tougher again and you get rid of reactive balls, you're done. And we haven't even talked about handicap yet.
No, we haven't even got there yet. Sorry, type in something in the chat here because you were in the middle of saying something. So there we go. To Jonathan and Tiffany. I'm working on a potty break here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make what I can without breaking the seal. I tell you what, these are going down smooth. Ah, those are good. Yeah, don't get started in handicap. That's a whole new. That'll start some fights. I mean, I can say it. You have. Let's take Greater Ozarks for example. You just came back from the Ozarks, right?
Yeah.
Tournaments are starting to do the thing where they're making patterns harder, and they're adding increasing the handicap. Tell me how that makes sense. Tell me why and how that makes sense. Please.
I don't know. And that's
All
the
it
other
is
thing.
takes your average bowlers, your lower average bowlers, they have to just hit their average. Then you get the big guys that actually have to strike. So there's a lot you can throw into it. It's let's make them tougher, but it also makes them tougher for the lower average people. But it's easier for the lower average people. I know it sounds crazy. It's easier for the lower average people to still hit their average than it is the guys that are averaging 230.
Yeah. And I say if you just eliminate all that, that's what causes a lot of these problems in the first place. Is all this, all this extra crap is what's all these extra complications are what's causing the problem in the first place. If we didn't have house shots and sport shots, the significant differences in use a league average or a house shot average for a sport shot tournament, and because a 160 average bowler, they're not good enough to take advantage of a house shot in the first place. So making the shot harder or easier is not really going to hurt that. No. It's just not going to do anything. No. It's just like if you're playing on a par 3 course, a golfer that's terrible, they're not going to notice a whole lot of difference if they're already shooting 6s and 7s on a par 3 course. If you just make it a par 4 course, it's not really going to make a whole lot of difference to them. But it's if you've got a par golfer on par 3 courses, you go to a par 4 and it's going to be a little bit tougher on them. Yep. Versus, and so it's the same kind of thing, is that 160 average bowlers aren't good enough to take advantage of a house shot, and so they're just going to spray it all over the place and pick up a few spares here and there and maybe get a couple lucky strikes put together. They're going to average 160 on the easy stuff, and they're going to average 150 or 160 on the hard stuff. But when you have it significantly easier, the very good bowlers are going to average 240, 250 on something easy, but then when it's made hard,
they're going to average 200.
They're going to average 200.
Yeah. And that's what the problem is when you go to, especially when they raise the handicap too. Mm-hmm. That's where you're seeing a lot of places where they're making them harder, but they're taking the handicap and they're raising the handicap. So when they still shoot 150, 160, they're walking out of there shooting 220, 230, 210. It's ridiculous. Greater Ozarks did that this year.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody tells me. They made them tougher. They may have been more gettable at Enterprise. We actually bowled better as a group at Sunshine than we did Enterprise. Enterprise was awful.
I probably would have bowled okay if I'd have used urethane at Sunshine, and I actually had a lot of fun throwing the urethane at Enterprise, even though I didn't score that great. I can't remember what I shot. I had 570, 80, 90 something the first set, and then 630 the second set. But I actually really enjoyed it because it felt like actual bowling instead of the alternative. It felt kind of fun. And that's the thing, is if you go back to plastic and urethane and you're just on a drier, shorter condition, then it just comes back down to shot making.
Yeah, it does. But that's the thing about that tournament, for example. That's the part that frustrates me, and this is my opinion. And I'm sure other people have this opinion too, but that tournament doesn't have a problem with participation.
No.
Never has. I don't think it ever will.
It won't. Yeah.
So why are we making them harder and raising the handicap? Why?
And that's because, it's 90% of 230.
It used to be 220.
Yeah, it used to be 220, but now it's 90% of 230. The conditions are very difficult. James didn't bowl the greatest this year. He went like 630, 630, 680, and he didn't throw it the greatest. But even if he would have thrown it a lot better than he did, I think he's still looking at 660, he's not averaging 230 or 240 is the point.
Right.
And when you come in with a 230 average on something easy, and then all of a sudden it's tough, but the handicap's 90% of 230, you're going to have the 160, 170, 180 average bowlers just run over the entire thing, barring a Spencer Robarge or a Brian and Chris Barnes, people that are professional level good, or somebody that's local like a Casey Murphy. You'd expect him to do well, maybe not necessarily win, but do well. So
yeah, I don't know. That's the kind of stuff that frustrates me, and we've seen a lot of that in our area here lately. Mike have kind of made a change where they dropped the handicap a little bit. They went from 230. What did they raise it to at one point? 90% of 230, and then they dropped it back down to 225, and they've started making them easier because they raised the handicap and they started making them harder. And it's like, what are we doing here, guys?
Yeah, we're putting out stuff like now Red Square was for the scratch tournament, granted, but we're putting out really tough stuff that somebody like Brad Miller can't go plus on. And Brad had a rough year, but I don't care if Brad Miller is, however badly he's throwing it, if he's not going plus at a tournament, they're too hard.
Yeah,
you can't expect you put down a shot that even a pro can't go plus on. I'm sorry.
and that's the prime example of why raising, because once again, like you said, the people that average 160 or less, they don't know any better. They're still going to shoot 140 to 160.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? With all that handicap and that extra pins they're getting, they're still shooting 2-0, 210. And it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
It seems to be happening more and more and more, and I don't get it.
Yeah, but it just that's the problem with having it easy enough to where there can be that such a wide range of outcomes. It's, you can't separate it enough. You can't quite separate it out. Now the draft league is one of those rare things that works, but we've got a 50 pin swing between the lowest average in the league at 190 and James at 240. That's still a 50 pin swing in a scratch league, and I think it's balanced about as well as it can be in that kind of a situation. But that's the very, very few. It's a very unique situation. Or the NFL league in Denver, but the average cap for the teams is like 825 or something. And so it's very difficult to put teams together for that league because you put one 240 average in there and you're bowling with 3 170s to make it work.
It's 4-man at 825, right?
Yeah, it's 4-man at 825.
I was gonna say that's tough.
At a cap on it, that's rough. I mean, that's tough. Because if you have a 225, you have a 225 average bowler, that's going to make it tough on the rest of the team. You can't really and if you have a lot of people wanting to bowl a competitive league like that, you're going to have more people. Like there's more people. Even our scratch league, you're not going to get the lowest teams on the board are going to be 830, 840 with averages, including people with averages that go down to 180 and 190.
Yeah.
We could pull it up and look, but I think the lowest team average in the league was like 840.
Yeah, you can pull it up and look because we got the final post on there. Jonathan Tiffany, that's a great question. While you're looking it up, if your adult league drops prize money and only collects lineage, does that mean youth bowlers can participate? And if it's a sanctioned league, no. If it's sanctioned, they would have to. At that point, they would have to drop their youth card and move up to adults.
Yeah, but if there is no prize fund, they're not making anything. So I think that the prize fund is the big thing that kicks that out.
You don't think it has any effect with the sanctioning on the men's or the adults and the youth? I think you're still with the adults on their USBC is still going to play with their sanction at an adult level and their youth level. So I think if you participate in it, you're going adult at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you would have to go unsanctioned because they could still run side action. There could be all kinds of stuff that can be done in that. So yeah, no, there would have to be literally no cash thrown around at all.
Yeah, like Jason said, they shouldn't call it top 10 anymore. They should call it here's 10 we could get to show up. Because nobody cares about top 10 anymore. They can't get people.
She's not going.
Yeah. There's a lot of just worth showing up.
I'm gonna drink some water. Give me a minute.
Yeah, I'm back to pull out a smoothie here.
Smoothie?
Yeah, I got some Cam brought me some smoothies from Pennsylvania.
Interesting. Let's see. I'll be right back. Give me like 2 minutes.
All right. Yeah, so this is one of those things that if they made bowling more accessible, or if they got rid of the price, because it's so cost prohibitive right now that's the big hurdle that they have to deal with, because inflation's going crazy. People don't have the time for anything anymore, and when something costs as much money as bowling does just to be a 200 average league bowler, and there's a lot of things you can do. You don't have to drag in 6 balls to league every night, but you really want to kind of halfway be competitive in a. And I might just do some. I might just throw a black hammer in my Friday night league all year. But the problem is that then you run into, if you're not competing to your ability, then you run into problems at tournaments. Because sure, I could, if I just threw the black hammer at league all year, I could probably still average 205, 210-ish maybe. But when my average has historically been higher than that, I'm going to end up, somewhat legally sandbagging, because if I knowingly am using balls that lower my average, again, I could throw my plastic ball all year. I could throw my black hammer all year. I'm still going to have my draft league average, but just say I wasn't bowling that. Just say it was a couple of random mixed leagues, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to play the equipment game. You can do the same thing with golf. You don't have to take a full set of clubs. You can take a driver, a putter, a pitching wedge, a 7-iron, and a 3 hybrid, and go play around with 4 or 5 clubs. Hi, Puggles. What are you talking about?
You just better hope that's not a very long course.
You could get away with playing, because those are most of the time those are the clubs that I use anyway.
Yeah, you just have to lay up a lot on the long one. But yeah.
Yeah, but you could do it. I could just walk into league with a black hammer and my plastic ball, and I could still average 200. You don't have to play the game. But that's the thing with golf, is they have all these extra gadgets. They have the range finders, and they have this and they have that, but it's not necessary, especially with the way that a lot of golf leagues work. If you want to compete and you want to play as good as you can play, then sure, it's in your best interest to have the full set of clubs, have all the tricks and the tools and whatever else that you can use. But I just don't think it's all just kind of extra in golf, it seems like. Where bowling, it seems like you do have to kind of have at least 4 or 5 balls to take to league every week. And especially tournaments, if you're going to go play tournaments, you've got to, if you're going to spend the money to go, you might as well try to do, there's no point in going to a tournament if you're not trying to win money. Or if you're not trying to place in the tournament. It's just kind of, league is for participation. Right. Tournaments are for going to succeed and make money.
Yes.
And so if you're not putting effort in to go do that, then I just think people need to find a way to reduce the expense for themselves or increase the revenue for the centers. Because if leagues and tournaments were made lucrative for the center again, or if it was a benefit for them, or if it could compete with open play in terms of revenue, we'd be just fine. But the problem is it's too expensive, it's too time consuming, bowling just has too many things going against it, in addition to the stupidity of bowlers that don't understand this. And this is one of the other things that fries me out, is that I'm so sick and tired of being lumped into this ball reviewer category, because the only reason that I started making videos in the first place was to help educate people about the balls so that they could spend less money, not more money. I'm not making ball videos to entice people into buying bowling balls, because it does nothing for me. You going out and buying a ball does absolutely nothing for me. Watching the video helps, but buying a ball does absolutely nothing for me. I have absolutely no reason whatsoever to want to sell you a bowling ball. If you are instead able to understand the differences between the bowling balls and more accurately and efficiently buy the balls that you want and the balls that you need, you then have more money that you can spend on actually bowling. Because if you don't know what you're buying, and you buy one good ball, one shitty ball, one good ball, one shitty ball, well, you buy one that's dog shit, and then it's like, okay, well, this ball's a piece of crap, so I'm going to sell this at, half or less than what I paid for it, and got to buy another ball. And so you're dumping an extra, several $1,000s into bowling balls that just end up being terrible. If you were able to more efficiently make equipment purchases, then you have a whole lot more money to bowl, to spend at the centers, to go to tournaments, to bowl an extra league a week. whatever else. That's the point. The point is not selling people bowling balls. That doesn't really, again, I don't know.
I get it. By the way, they allow rangefinders on the PGA Tour now.
Oh, sweet.
I don't know if you knew that or not. Caddies can use rangefinders, yes.
That's cool.
It kind of changes a little bit of things. I know you brought the rangefinders up earlier, and I was going to say it, but you were right in the middle of a rant, so I was letting you do your thing. But yeah, they can use rangefinders now. I don't know if they can use them in the majors, but they definitely use them on regular tournaments. So, which the U.S. Open's this week, by the way. Father's Day weekend, U.S. Open. Let's go. By the way, happy early Father's Day to all you daddies out there.
Yeah. We'll be in between because that's this coming Sunday.
Jonathan Tiffany hasn't got a shout out for having a new baby, so we haven't had a show since you, buddy.
Yeah. Congratulations. I guess that's happened since we last aired.
Yeah, it's been 3 weeks because you decided you were bowl in Springfield and stuff.
Yeah. So and this is another one that goes with the topic. This is another thing that just drives me off a cliff. Bowlers are too. I understand matching up with certain companies better than others. What's in my current arsenal? What's in my current arsenal is a Venom Shock, an Evoke, a Summit, an Intense Mindset. I think that's pretty much that's what it is. I kind of do 5 for league now. And so I've got motive balls, I've got storm balls, I've got B7 balls. And now that I'm doing like Brunswick reviews, there are a lot of people that just, I just don't want to throw that stuff. It's like, I don't know why. That's just absolutely stupid. The only reason I only threw storm balls is because I was on staff with them. Each company has a little different, somewhat different characteristics. I think that storm stuff is just fine in league. It's a little bit weaker than the Brunswick stuff. Brunswick stuff looks better on more volume. Storm stuff seems to do a little bit better with more friction. Motive stuff is right in between. They're not as dynamic as Brunswick balls, but they're not quite as weak as storm balls. And so they kind of fit in there, and they all create kind of different shapes and are good for different situations. And for some people to just say, well, I just don't want to throw a Brunswick ball. That's okay, idiot. Whatever.
Why? Because it's made in Mexico. It's some of the best stuff. They're making the best stuff on the planet right now. Well,
and see, that's what I think too. That's the majority of what I've been throwing. This new Intense Mindset's great. I've really liked the Evoke and the Venom Shock so far, but the Summit's still amazing, and I just don't want to. If we're talking about actual equipment stuff, I just don't understand the people that are not locked into a contract that just won't even. I just won't throw a motive ball. Well, they're expensive. I'm like, okay, so they're like $20 more than another ball, and you're just going to throw it for 2 games and then turn around and sell it anyway because you made a stupid ball purchase.
The comment Shadow made here makes sense though, and I can understand that. The only reason I'm a brand bowler is because it's just easier for me to know when to make ball changes. I can understand that.
That is a fair point.
Use them and you learn them. You learn the shapes. Like it's I'm telling you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just telling you, don't sleep on the Brunswick stuff. It's in my opinion, it's the best in the business right now. Those covers they have right now, they're hitting home runs. So
yeah, I really like the covers. They read the lane for me quite a bit better, especially since Storm had to adjust to the hardness stuff. Their covers have not really handled it well, and so I think by and large the Brunswick covers are probably the best out there right now. Motive's making some really good stuff. They can't seem to figure out how to make a shiny ball though. Like all their solid stuff is really good. The shiny stuff is really, really hit and miss.
Now you know why I struggled long when it came to transition. Like transition was really got me when I was on the 3 years I was on staff with them, and I just couldn't figure out what to do outside of when I had to get out of the stuff that like the shocks or the ghosts or the recoils. When I had to get into something cleaner, I could not figure it out. That's where it got me. The Iron Forge was probably the best shiny ball they've made since when I was there. So,
Yeah.
It was awful though. I mean, ball changes were a crapshoot. It was like throwing dice. Where are you throwing?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you saw it.
Yeah, and so this isn't a bad point at all, because even the Brunswicks, there's a lot of the B7 staffers that don't come close to buying everything. There's a lot of them that stick with like 3 out of the 7 companies.
Correct.
Like I know that there's some, it's like, okay, I like the hammer stuff, Works, Track stuff, and then Brunswick stuff. And they don't even, outside of a ball here or there, they don't pay attention to any of the other stuff. So I can understand limiting your options, because even if you're down to just 3 companies, there's still plenty of options. But this is another problem for the industry, is just artificially increasing the amount of money that people spend. It's already expensive enough without making things even crazier. And I think that's one of those things I could probably average if I just, instead of consistently or constantly putting new stuff in there, new this and new that or whatever else, if I just kind of stuck, okay, I like this ball, I don't like this ball, and then show up to league with like 3 or 4 balls, and then just use the stuff that scores and just completely ignore new releases and whatever else, I could probably up my average 5 to 10 pins.
Probably.
But as long as I have them, I want to use them. But at the same time, it's just too much, and people don't understand that the bowlers are artificially inflating the prices that they're paying, while at the same time the bowling centers are not anywhere close to keeping up with inflation.
Right.
And so leagues and tournaments continue to make less and less sense for bowlers because of how expensive it is, and centers continue to have less and less leagues and tournaments because of how expensive it is for them. Basically, if they could be making all this kind of money on open play, and instead they're having a tournament that's getting them like $3 in lineage a game, when they could be making $10 or $15, in that same time frame from an open play bowler, it just doesn't make any sense to run leagues or tournaments when they can make so much more money in the vast majority of situations. And I had a lot of people saying, well, there's centers here that are league centers and they're doing just fine. It's like, okay, then the bowling's obviously fine. They're I guess that, centers closing everywhere is just a them problem, and string pins is just a them problem, and Bolero buying everything is just a them problem. Because it works for a couple centers in your area, I guess bowling, there's just nothing wrong.
Don't change anything. Stay with it.
Because you're an outlier, let's just work with that outlier.
I think I'm going to put holes in a phase 2 and an IQ tour. I think I'm going to go back to the OGs.
There's a lot of storm bowlers are telling me that that's all they throw anyway. They just throw a bunch of the old stuff.
All I threw as a motive staffer was Jackal Ghost and Venom Shock, so I understand that. But I'm thinking about it. I think I'm gonna go put holes in another phase 2 and an IQ tour. There's nothing like an IQ tour out of the box. Am I wrong? Yeah. IQ tour out of the box is the best reaction on a bowling ball ever.
So I got a Smoogie Puffsicle Strawberry Lychee Heavily Fruited Marshmallow Smoothie Sour Ale.
That sounds like...
These always sound terrible, because there's another one that's like vanilla and marshmallow and peach and something else, and it's fantastic.
What's the flavor in that one again?
This one's strawberry lychee. Strawberry lychee, heavily fruited marshmallow smoothie sour ale.
No, you can have all that you want. We need to take you guys to 785, by the way. You still haven't been, have you?
Yep.
Yeah, you did go, or you need to go?
No, we need to go.
Oh, yeah. Tell me when. We're going. I might take my wife. Take the wife. Take me for Father's Day, but kind of want to sit on my butt and watch the U.S. Open.
Oh my God!
Best $8 ever spent. Yeah, Buddies does get some good clearance stuff, but Bowlers Mart's also on there when they get some good deals on overseas stuff. I always look at the overseas stuff like, is there something I ever want? I just never need it.
Man, I swear to God, this tastes like I'm drinking a strawberry shortcake. It's just ridiculous. Like, look at the chonkosaurousness of this.
That is thick.
It's a frickin' smoothie.
That is thick. Well, no, thank you. I'm good on that.
Mama's come to get you, Buck Sauce.
Upstairs.
It's okay,
Peter. Pearl, years old IQ Tour, and Lightning Storm. So I would have kept throwing all my old stuff, like the Phase 2 and the IQ Tour that I had. And then when I signed with Motive, I had to sell it all or get rid of it, or he's either getting thrown away. So
yeah,
they got moved on from. So kind of want to drill some new ones. Now that Motive thing's gone. That was a tough thing. That was a really tough decision to make because they really did put me in a good spot, and it all changed a lot since I left. But yeah, I technically actually worked for them. I was a paid associate.
Yeah.
So.
This is one of those things. Like a high road still in production. I guarantee you, if I drilled it, I told people this in a video a month or so ago. I said I guarantee you, if you would just go out and drill a high road for your league and throw that the entire year, your average would probably go up.
Yeah.
And it's 15 years old. So
I would say the original one that I had before Motive and then the one I have now, they're totally different. They're not the same.
That's the other thing. Storm's trying to catch the cover stocks up with now they got rid of the reactor gloss stuff, or they fixed it, and it's fixed. I'll give them the credit on that. Because I've been all the stuff that Tobias throws everything just shiny out of the box, and everything looks fantastic now. So reactive gloss is not a problem anymore. If you like throwing stuff shiny out of the box, you don't have a problem anymore. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that the hardness got bumped a little bit, and so all their covers that are older or based on older formulas, they didn't handle the hardness bump very well at all. And I think that they pulled a Motive and bump the hardness a couple points up to stay well within the line because they don't want to deal with getting stuff banned again.
Nope.
And I can tell you that, and that's part of the reason where Motive stuff is, kind of acted like boat anchors here and there, because I think that they're all 75, 76 hardness, and they're not getting anywhere close to the number limits on any bowling balls.
They can't afford it.
Yeah, because the Jackal thing almost bankrupt the company.
Yeah, it almost took him out of business in like 5 seconds. Yeah. Yep, it was. I remember when that happened too, because the weekend that it happened, that week that it happened, I bowled Springfield that weekend, and they had to make the announcement: if you throw the Jackal, blah 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 blah, you will be disqualified. And they were all over it. I used to watch 3 reviewers: you, JR Pro, Tamer, Sissa. You called it. Don't call him a ball reviewer.
But yeah, that's another thing is that people complain about. They complain about the price of bowling balls. Oh, they're just putting out bowling balls faster and faster and cramming them down our throats. But companies only respond to the market. Like, they wouldn't be cranking out bowling balls faster and faster if the market wasn't responding to it. Because as much as people say, well, I want new and different, you give them new and different, and they don't buy it. But you can put out a Phase 6, and people will go crazy for it. You can put out the 150th Black Widow, and it'll back up production lines. You can put out a new cell. Rotogrip just put out the X cell, and it's destroying the Ion Pro in sales, which the Ion Pro is something new for Storm, new and unique for Storm. They've never had a ball like it before, but you put cell on a ball and all of a sudden, screw that Ion crap. And it's like, well, you guys said that you want new and different, but if you keep making phases and you keep making IQs, you keep making high roads and you keep making Black Widows and whatever else, that's what people actually want. No matter, so you can't really follow what people say they want. You got to follow the numbers and what they're actually buying.
Hey, what was the Jackal that was banned?
I think it was the original Jackal and the Jackal Carnage.
Yeah, it was Jackal and Jackal Carnage. Clifton Don just Jackal Ghost was banned from my USBC tournament I played in my area. Why?
I don't know. That shouldn't be a thing. Well, because people are stupid. It says Jackal on it, and Jackal's one of the banned balls, and there's still
now
there's
say Jackal Ghost.
There's still people that are going crazy about why can't I use my UFO alert in my league, and I'm like, no, they just banned it from like nationals and the Open and the Masters and stuff like that.
Unless your league votes it down.
Because people are stupid.
Yeah, the Jackal Ghost should never have been banned.
Yeah.
I throw a pin down Ghost. Is that illegal now? No.
It was the first Jackal and the Jackal Carnage because the int diff ceiling is 060 and those balls were both 060. Yep. And some of them were found to be 060 or like 0601, 0602, something like that. And they almost bankrupt the company on the thickness or the dimensions of a couple sheets of paper. Because what had happened is some of the molds had worn, the core molds had worn a little bit, and it changed the dimensions of the core very, very slightly, but just enough. I mean, they were on the line, and so we can't have a ball that because 0601 or 0602. Oh my gosh, we're in trouble now. So we got to bankrupt a company over a couple sheets of paper. Yeah. That doesn't even matter.
Jackals changed to a V2 core with the Ghost. Yes, they absolutely did, and the V2 core and the Ghost is just, oh my god, that ball's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Jackal Ghost is one of the best solid balloon balls out there, and I will always hang my hat on. It's still there for a reason. Longest instrument in the world. So.
Yeah, the UFO alert was soft banned. This is the thing.
Yeah,
is that it was the Spectre was hard banned. You can't use it in USBC competition, but then they had several balls like the UFO alert and the Trend 2 that you just couldn't use at nationals, the Masters, Junior Gold, the US Open, but you can use them in other regular leagues and tournaments. But people are not paying any attention, and so as soon as you say something like, I mentioned that, there's confusion over the UFO alert being banned, and that's all people hear is, oh, UFO alert banned. It's like, oh, I can't throw it anymore. It's like, no, you have to follow the information. Several of the storm balls were soft banned, but they were not banned. But there's still people throwing Spectres in certain places because just nobody knows, nobody cares. I don't think it's a big deal. If I saw somebody throwing a Spectre, I wouldn't turn them in. I don't care. It's not gonna, especially when you're. And this is the other thing: is people get way too shitty with way too stupid of rules. Like, there was one guy in our Friday night league after it happened, the Friday night at Royal Crest, who was throwing a Spectre for a couple weeks afterwards. The guy averages 170 and gets hammered every week.
Okay.
I'm not saying anything to that guy. I don't care.
God forbid that guy shoot 100 for the first time, though.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, that would suck, wouldn't it?
And that would be the only thing that you would want to warn somebody. It's like, okay, well, this ball's illegal, and so if you do shoot something with it and put it down on the spec sheet, they're gonna probably toss out the set. That's one of those things is that people should warn people of rules infractions just so that it doesn't come back to bite them should something exceptional happen.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to care in a $14 a week mixed league where everybody gets hammered and the music's blaring. I don't care if somebody's throwing a Spectre. I don't care if somebody's throwing an SD78 or whatever the SD71 or whatever that rotogrip ball was. Or there was some ball that was like an 080 diff that was grandfathered in.
It was the SD78.
Yeah, the SD, that's what I thought it was.
Yeah, SD78.
So,
people, it's for those that are confused. It had nothing to do with the core on the motive balls. It's all the cover. It was too soft.
Well, no, what?
Oh, on the motive balls, it was the cover, wasn't it? It was too soft.
No, on the Jackals, it was the core.
Oh, the Jackals, it was the core. That's right. It's the Storm Bus stuff.
Storm balls was the cover.
Yeah, the core, but it was Or it should have been legal. I'm sorry. But
Yeah, it was stupid because
but
the ceiling is an 060 diff,
that's right.
and it was the balls were 060, and the core molds wearing out got them up a little bit higher. The storm
My
balls,
bad. Storm's all the covers. They're too soft.
Yeah, the covers were too soft, or the USBC said the covers were too soft.
This was pre-me motive, anyways. But the V2 cores.
Yeah.
Actually, I think they lucked into something with the V2 on the Jackal Ghost. It was that V2 core is good. If that is loud,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I don't care. And the other thing is that people don't understand the ball tech either. Like and so people need to educate themselves on this stuff. People act like marketing in bowling is such a bad thing, and that obviously the companies are trying to run a business. They want to sell you bowling balls. It's not to cram balls down your throat. It's to offer you options. People will bitch, and I remember being in a pro shop, and I'd have some people come in every couple of weeks, and they'd be a couple of weeks, and they come back in. It's like, oh well, I don't see anything new. So it's like, man, it's been 2 weeks. Give it a month or two. Something new will come out. And so everybody, or then a ball would come out. It's like, man, I've been waiting for this ball forever, but why does it have to be so ugly? I really wanted this cover and this core together, and they put it together, and they just made it look like shit. And I'm like, whatever. So now the companies are cranking out all kinds of stuff. So you have all kinds of options. They're putting out a lot of similar stuff at the same time, but in different colors with different tweaks here and there to give you variety. And I can't buy all this stuff. It's like they're not intending for you to buy all this stuff. Nike doesn't make 200 different styles of shoes expecting you to buy everything. That is like the dumbest logic I can think of. I can't buy all these bowling balls. They don't expect you to. Like, what kind of sense would that make?
I mean, let's be honest though. Who gives a flying crap what the ball looks like as long as you know it's going to strike?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't care. I don't care what it looks like. It could be pink, purple, white. If it strikes, who gives a crap?
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't have to smell good. It puts 10 back. You're going to throw it.
Yeah, I mean, half of the Brunswick stuff smells like paint, and it reacts good, so I don't care.
I can promise you everything Emotive smells like paint.
Yeah, I really like the Evoke so far. I like a lot of the Brunswick stuff. I still throw some Storm stuff.
Yeah. I just don't understand the logic of, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look pretty. Who gives a crap?
Look good. They're trying to cram things down our throat. I
think you know what that means.
Yeah, bowlers are so stupid. And it just drives me up a tree.
I don't attend league meetings anymore for here in Topeka. So like Trevor's League on Tuesday nights, I won't go anymore because I swear to Topeka when it comes to it. Yeah,
I've been in so many stupid league meetings where it takes an hour and a half.
No.
Our Friday night league at Westridge used to take like an hour and a half. And it was the same people always bitching about the same stuff. And I'm like, there's no point in come to this meeting. Like the meetings for the draft league are good. I like going to those meetings. And then the meeting on Friday night, nobody gives a shit. And so they have the same league rules that they've had forever. Nobody cares. They just want to show up and drink and turn the music up and have fun. God forbid bowling actually be fun.
Our draft league though is 30 minutes. That's solid for a decent for a big money league. 30 minutes is solid.
Yeah, if you got $40,000 in the prize fund, yeah, you probably ought to talk about the rules.
Yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit.
And people care, but there's debate. There's intelligent people in that league. That's the thing, is people raise good points, and they have, I'm completely fine. Even if I disagree with somebody, the vast majority of the time people make good points. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't really see it like that. Or I don't feel that way about that. I agree with you on the point. I just disagree with you on how I feel about it. That's a totally different story than just being ignorant.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, the Tuesday night league, Trevor's League, I won't go to those league meetings anymore. I don't care. Yeah. It's awful. It's a 30-minute league that turns into an hour and a half because people in Topeka have no idea what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah.
They don't even know what they're asking. So I
Yeah.
just I can't do it. Smells like
Yeah.
sex.
Or 60% of the time. Every
Yeah.
time.
I can't afford all this. You're not intended to buy it. Yeah, that's the thing. It's called variety. You know, when Apple comes out with a new iPhone and they have big ones and small ones and more, some with more memory and less memory and several different colors, bowlers would be, well, I don't know why they're putting out all these phones. I can't buy all these.
I mean, do you think car companies expect you to buy every car that comes out?
Yeah. It's just, it's called variety and different uses and different, and one thing that hurts Motive is that, they'll put it, people be waiting for a new Motive ball and then it's an asymmetric solid. I didn't need or want one of those, so I guess I'm not buying a ball now. That's why so many other companies crank out so much stuff so fast so that you can have options. If they put out Brunswick, it puts out most of the time 3 to 5 balls every month.
I can help you
to buy all.
You're looking for another Jackal, you'll get another Jackal in January.
Yeah.
They always Jackal's always the big ASIM solids always come out in January. So you'll have another Jackal in that line come January. They have a trend.
Yeah.
I won't spill all the details, but Moto comes out with the ball every 45 days.
Mm-hmm.
45 days is the number. So
yeah, and with the Brunswick stuff, they put out 4 or 5 balls a month, hoping that you will buy 1 or 2 out of that 5 ball grouping, or that you'll at least have something that interests you. That's the way that businesses and products work. That's the whole point of having a product line. So, going to, what's the other thing? There's a lot of people that we watched the tour finals yesterday.
I did. Now I was at a birthday.
There were people chanting stupid things. They were trying to act like they were at Bayside or something because I guess the owner of that center really wants it Steel City. They want to be one of the big places like Bayside, and so they had a designated section of people chanting like they were in Bayside, but it was stupid chanting. It wasn't like crowd energy. It was a handful of people chanting stuff. It's like, they just chant, we want a turkey, we want a turkey, we want a turkey. And then it would be, we want a ham bone, we want a ham bone. And some of the things were funny. Like if somebody wrapped a 10 pin, they go, that was rude, that was rude, that was rude. But it got really old really fast. And, while it was kind of fun. It's like, oh, okay, well, this is kind of fun because they were actually cheering, chanting, whatever else while the bowling was going on. I hate the dead silent stuff. I would rather it's like white noise. I would rather, if the crowd's going to be there, I would rather they all be moving rather than everybody sitting still and then somebody moves the sign right as I'm in the middle of my approach or something. Be jumping up around, hollering, whatever else, just one, so that one thing doesn't, stand out or distract somebody. And so I get that part of it, but the chanting was really stupid.
If I'm bowling for 100 G's, I don't want you moving. I don't want you talking either. I'm not gonna lie. Don't move. You're bowling for a lot of money. I don't know. And it's so I don't know if you know this or not. The two that own that bowling center, that's the owners of Bolero X.
Mm-hmm.
That's Krista and Lee.
Okay, so that's why they were sitting front and center.
Yeah, that's Krista and Lee.
Okay. So yeah, apparently the owner. And so yeah, apparently they want to have the next Bayside, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. So
I get it too.
I realize this every time they do all the tournaments at Bayside. Krista and Lee are always there, like front and center. So they get out there and, really interact with the crowd. And if they see they're the ones when you go to Bayside that have all the Sam Pitt. I can't think of the guy's name that does the Bolero X drawings. They're big blown, the fat heads as they have them now.
Yeah.
To hold them up and start all that. So.
But yeah, so I understand this because there was another PBA tournament where the fan in the bathroom kept going off, and they could hear it out on the lanes, and so they kept stepping off
That was the World
over and
Series.
over again. Yeah, because the fan in the bathroom was going off, and so that's kind of why I'd like to have the white noise, because there was a tournament at Lunar in 2002 or 2003 that we went to go watch, and Brad Angelo was bowling in the round of 16 or something, and he needed a strike, and one of the people from Topeka, in that moment, just had to get some Skittles out of a vending machine. At that point, the crowd's dead silent. Brad needs to throw a good shot, and all of a sudden, crank, 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 ting, 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 right in the middle of his approach.
Oh, I'm sure he was thrilled about that.
He was very, very not happy. It's like, man, we're in the round of 16 or the round of 8 or something. If you're, and you're not watching the bowling.
Just wait a minute. There's a lot of people that don't think, though. I know it's common courtesy. I actually like going to the shows and being quiet and everything. Then you want to watch golf. I mean, it's golf. That's what golf is.
Yeah, I want Chris Schenkel whispering quietly off to the side, not Randy. Randy's still causing balks while sitting a half mile away. Because, there's a lot of times where people say, I heard Randy. Because he's talking while they're trying to bowl. And Randy is the last person.
Randy said something, but I think EJ should move left. And he said, I did, Randy.
Yeah.
No, I think the big thing with bowling doing the golf thing where it's quiet and they're quiet behind you is I think it makes it feel and look on TV more like we're really bowling for a lot of dough here. You know what I mean? Like this is a big deal. So I think that's why it's gotten to that thing.
Well, it's kind of like golf. You want everybody quiet, everybody, that's why they have the quiet signs and whatever else. And that's just like this, is it bowling or professional wrestling? It sounded stupid and fake. Yeah, it was manufactured. They had a group of people set aside to intentionally do that, to try to manufacture the Bayside sound. And it just wasn't.
Don't force something that's not there.
It sounded really stupid. And, and a lot of people say, well, why can't bowling be exciting? It's like, well, why can't it be professional? There's a time for excitement and there's a time for it being professional. Why can't we be? And it's one of those things where there's, okay, well, for a while, bowling tried to be golf and it didn't really work. And now bowling's trying to be exciting, and I'm not sure that works any better.
Yeah, that's where my opinion gets is it's exciting leading up to it. But when we get to Sundays on TV and it's a ladder, that's where it's professional. I'm sorry, that's just my opinion. I mean, it's not Happy Gilmore here. We can get there to that stage, but I don't mind the chanting and stuff, but I don't know. When you get to Sunday in a professional environment and you're bowling for however much, 25, 50, 100 grand, to me, that's when it's a professional environment. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I can understand the having fun with it. And if you want to pump the crowd up, pump the crowd up. But then they need to chill out when it's time to make a shot. So don't think intentional not by Bayside. That's part of Big Mike said on his podcast. He was there and asked them. Yeah, they might have been, but Lee and Krista had a play in that. I promise you that.
I have inside information that says otherwise.
Yeah, no, I do too. I know Krista. I know Krista. Krista's on motive staff with me too. So
I had a comment exchange with a guy that used to work there for them, and they were very interested in having a Bayside type of atmosphere in, Steel City being a PBA destination for league stuff, and because Bayside's gotten a lot of notoriety and a lot of attention and whatever else for being that center that's just so exciting and so fun for the pros to bowl in. And I don't blame Lee and Krista for wanting that. Everybody wants to be a Bayside. Or they should want to be a Bayside. But
Bayside just has such a unique center. I don't care what you want to do with it. Their center is very unique. And you just, I don't know. Lee and Krista are the perfect people that can build that on a secondary basis. They're good people.
Yeah.
They have that Steel City and Brews, and I think it's like they even it's Steel City and Brews, I think is what it's called, something like that. Anyways, it's a really cool center since they purchased it. They've done a lot of work on it, and I think that they can really do something there. But yeah, it's gonna Bayside, just Bayside, and I just it's gonna take something unique to get there. It's not repeating what they're doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing is Bayside happened completely organically. There was no designs on anything. That's just how the crowd there was, and everybody connected with it and really liked it. And I think trying to capture that somewhere else is just not going to work. You've got to be your own place and have your own kind of unique signature instead of because as soon as everywhere becomes a Bayside, then it becomes not unique. It doesn't become a destination. You want to have your own thing. You want to have just let Bayside be Bayside and you be you.
And you get to go. That's another thing about Bayside too, is not only is the center unique, is the crowd unique, and the whole everything they do in the environment, but it's the city's unique. It's not a city they don't go to. You know what I mean? It's Portland, Maine. I mean, Portland, Maine, right?
Yeah.
Come on, it's awesome. They've got. I mean, you get up top of the building. There's a bar, a sky bar up top, and I mean, they've got their neat or their what's the word I'm looking for? Their
niche.
Niche. That's the word I'm looking for.
People call it niche, but it's niche.
But when it works, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We're about 1 minute now down. So, do you have anything you'd like to say before we get rid of these people tonight? Just kidding.
Bowling is done.
Yeah.
And I spend way too much time doing that when I could be golfing.
Yeah, I can play more golf. That's what I suggest to everybody. Play more golf. Watch bowling videos and channels.
Yeah.
Smash that like button. No, I had a good time. I'm tired. I'm telling you, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I bought my sunglasses over the weekend. A $500 pair of sunglasses. On a freak accident. You were there.
Yeah.
It's the ones that fell off my hat when I did this, and they fell and they just like right on my. Oh my gosh, I'm so mad.
Yeah, and I've got to apologize to my wife because the stuff like that happens to me, and I'm like, only me. There's the only way that this could happen is I'm the only person this could happen to, and yours was such a perfect storm of you go to take off your hat and then the glasses fall, and then you just kind of step on them perfectly, and it's like the perfect storm of. It's like being in the middle of a 120 or a 130 game going, is this really happening right now?
I mean, I didn't even take my hat off. I lifted it up like this just to kind of, it's kind of hot over here. And it fell straight down. And then on the same motion, my foot, luckily I didn't crunch him. I put my foot down and felt it. And I went, oh no.
Yeah. You broke the feet off, or you broke the legs off of them, but you didn't harm the lenses anyway.
It still frustrates the crap out of me.
Yeah.
But
you still got a drink to finish. So handicap rant condensed into 1 minute. I don't have a problem with handicap generally because you have to find there's just no way otherwise to compete unless you lock everybody into very tiny tiers. And some people are, especially with the variance in, some people are going to bowl better on long patterns. So, some people could average 200 on short patterns and average 230 or 240 on long patterns and vice versa. Some people actually bowl just as well, if not better, on tougher conditions like Zach Rhodes. I think he can put in some scores on a house shot every once in a while. But by and large, he's better on tougher stuff that has more volume. And so it's really hard. Just because you average 220 doesn't mean that you're going to average 220 on a multitude of different things. Sometimes some people will average higher on completely opposite conditions that somebody else will average higher on. And so trying to fit average ranges in together, you've got to have it, just like golf, you got to have a handicap system of some sort. You just have to have it. Unless you have something like our draft league that happens to really work out. But a lot of people want to pick their teammates. They want to put together a team and they want to go. And for the vast majority of situations, it's not going to matter. The problem is when you start messing with the difficulties of the patterns. that's where it starts to come in, because the harder a shot gets, the more it's going to favor the handicap bowler. So you almost have to just make shots wide open so that you can let the better bowlers score, because that's always what happens whenever they do the doubles tournaments. Dave and Mike, they do the doubles tournaments, and Trevor and Packy win them, or Trevor and Dylan win them every single time. But that's kind of how it should be, because they're the better bowlers. The handicap is going to help handicap bowlers compete more often. And you look at the double standings, if Spencer comes out and bowls with Ryan Barnes, they're going to be up there. If Trevor and Packy or Trevor and Dylan bowl together, they're going to be up there. If Austin Bowles comes out and bowls with whoever, they're going to be up there. But so are a good assortment of handicap bowlers. The idea is that handicap and scratch, having handicap, you should have the scratch bowlers dominating most of the time, but you should also have a good mix of handicap bowlers in there too. Because the whole point of having like a 90% of 220 is to make the handicap bowlers bowl higher over their average than the scratch bowlers, because that's what tournaments are about, is bowling over your average. So you should have handicap to help those people compete, but you shouldn't have handicap running over tournaments over scratch bowlers that just can't keep up with a pace that some handicap bowlers can set.
Correct. By the way, while we're going to break here, the Tiffany's.
Oh.
They're watching us with the baby. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Baby sitting there like, look at those two idiots.
Yep.
That
So
ball
we
guy was
appreciate
just like
support.
me.
Thank you guys, Jonathan,
And Melissa. Yep.
Melissa. Yes, too. Thank you. Appreciate
Yep.
you guys. We appreciate
Cow lover.
She went through the bulk of it. He's just hanging out.
And that's hilarious, because we last show that we had a month ago, we were talking about getting them into the Discord.
Yep.
We got them into the Discord and said, oh, there's going to be all kinds of things for you to do, with Melissa being, pregnant. And it's like, well, she can spend a lot of time in here, and then the baby's there like the next day. So
Love
they were
it.
busy.
Oh, so happy for you guys. That's pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah. Frat bro vibes. The bros took over and made it all about them. Felt bad for the bowlers.
Yep.
Yeah, and some of it, and like Belmo, you can't even get him to react anymore. Like, he's so vanilla bowling, he doesn't even get excited about anything anymore. But the opposite. I mean, you could have somebody going nuts every time, or you could have a Verity that's too good to try to shoot 300 on TV.
He's so awesome.
It's just I don't know. Bowling's killing itself, and it's a little depressing. But I'm ready to just. I'm sick of arguing with people, so that's why I said I'm just not going to post on Facebook anymore. I'm going to keep making videos and stuff, and I'm just going to be a little bit more blunt. And if people don't like it, they can.
It's time for pickleball. Playing pickleball, damn it.
Yeah, play pickleball or learn how to play. And this is why stuff like cornhole has gotten really popular, because it's very simple. It's very cheap. You just have to be good. There's no getting around. You have to be good. You have to be accurate. But it's a very simple, very cheap game. Even if you buy a nice set of bags and a nice set of boards, those are going to last you, and you're only in for a few $100. You can get a very nice cornhole setup for the price of a couple bowling balls.
Oh, yeah.
And practice in your backyard. You don't have to go to a bowling center and spend $5-6 a game to practice or whatever like that. Like, you can get very good at cornhole off a couple $100 and putting in some hours in your backyard.
All right, homie. I'm signing off.
Yep.
I need to go eat some food.
Frisbee golf. I thought frisbee golf was the dumbest thing ever when I first saw it, but the more I see it, I'm like, that's kind of cool. And all the different things that they can do with it, and all the different tricks and whatever else. And I thought cornhole was just like, why are there professional cornhole players? That's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. But then I started watching some professional cornhole tournaments. I'm like, this is a little tense because there's nowhere to hide. You either make good shots or it's just constant. You have to make a good shot every single time. There's no hiding from anything. There's no, oh, oops, I threw a Brooklyn, or I leaked this one 3 boards right, but because there's friction out, because I created some friction out there, it hooked back or whatever else. There's a, I can't remember her first name, but there's a guy named Rick Coy. I'm pretty sure his daughter's a professional player, and they had a professional tournament at the Expo Center or the Stormont Vale Event Center, whatever they call it in Topeka now. But that was here last year at some point, and we were somewhere that I think it might have been KCO weekend, but I was actually thinking about going. But his daughter's a professional cornhole player, and they had her on TV, and it's like this is impressive. Once you actually pay attention a little bit, it's like this is seriously impressive. And I'm sure it's a freaking bag of board with a hole in it, but.
Free to get into at the Expo Center.
Yeah, so I mean,
all right, it's tinkle time too. I gotta go.
Yep.
I love you all.
You get off 10 minutes ago too, so.
No, you're good. I love you. I got a potty.
Yeah. All right. Thanks everybody for hanging out. We had a good crowd the whole time. We'll try to we'll think of some other dramatic or rant-inducing topic to talk about next time. Keep everybody interested instead of this vanilla nonsense.
No, I thought we had a good time.
Yeah. Thanks for the peace out, guys. Thanks for the donation. We don't want to see bowling die. Yeah, I don't want to either. I think it just needs a hard reset, and there needs to find a way to make it cheaper for the bowlers and more lucrative for the centers. Those are the two things that are gonna do it for competitive bowlers, competitive bowling, and bowlers just need to be less stupid. And there's too many bowlers out there that are intentionally stupid. Like, ignorance isn't a bad word. It just means you don't know something, but willful ignorance when you don't want to know something so that you can still keep living in your own little world. That's what bowlers do, and it pisses me off. So
I can't argue with that. So,
all right,
everybody.
Yep. Thanks a lot, y'all. We will see you in 2 weeks on the 24th. We don't have anything going on, so we will be back in 2 weeks on that Monday, and we are nearing the 100th episode too here in a couple months, so we should probably think about doing something for that. Let me see, 12 more episodes, 13 more episodes every 2 weeks, 24 weeks, 6 months, December-ish.
Yeah.
So the Doggo fundraiser stream might actually be our 100th. Of course, that's different from the breakdown pair.
Technically not a BB, so we'll have to find something to do.
Yeah, we should have around the first of the year should be our 100th episode. So that would be a good time to have it. We'll figure out something fun for that. We'll see if we can get some special guests, and that'll be around the start of PBA season again too, because that starts in early January. So I'm sure I can talk a few people into.
Oh, we can. Gotcha. Shoot in the chat too what you would like to see on the 100th episode, and we can do some stuff. We definitely need to do something.
I probably can't swing Belmo or Simo, but I'm sure I could get Beef Stew to show up for a few minutes. I'm sure we can get Zach Wilkins or Packy or Brad, or we still need to get Brad. We still need to get frickin' Rhino. We talked to him at Trevor's wedding almost a year ago now, and we still haven't gotten him on. So
I know we'll get it done. The 100th episode is gonna be a good one though. We've got time to put into it. So
yeah. So
Bug Kroll,
we can get Bug.
I'm not worried about Bug. We can get him on easily.
Bug would love to come on the show, I'm sure. Bug's just one of the coolest dudes out there. He is one of the guys. He's just excited about bowling. Period. He guarantee we can get him on here. So
that's what Bug's the reason why Dylan's not took his card away, so that him and Trevor and Bug can bowl together for Swiss Trios.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, everybody. Love you all. You guys are fantastic. Once again, congrats to the Tiffany's on a new baby.
Yeah.
Still sucks. Let's bring it back, and
yeah,
find a way we can all do it together. But
yep.
I'm gonna go eat some food.
Yeah.